All right, you know what I'm saying? So, boom. I figured I might as well go ahead and do this MCU video here now that we kind of have seen where the box office for the Fantastic Four and where Superman has landed at. Um, I wanted to go ahead and do a superhero video, just kind of about the state of I guess not just the MCU, but just superhero movies in general, kind of where we're at, kind of where I'm at personally. Um, I guess just to kind of get into the whole thing, man. I really grew up with superhero movies. I really grew up with like the original Spider-Man movies, fucking X-Men, Blade never really connected with me personally, but Blade was also kind of that time period of superhero movies, early 2000s. When did Blade come out? I don't know. It's not, who cares? But I mean, as far as superhero movies go, man, it's been a big part of my life. Um, Obviously, anyone who knows or has seen the channel, wrestling is my thing. Wrestling is my favorite pastime. Um, so that means a lot to me, but it's not the only interest I have out there. I like other things. I like rap music. I like rock music. I like all kinds of music. Music is music. Entertainment is entertainment. There's all kinds of things to enjoy. You don't just have to try one flavor of ice cream, right? So we're gonna get into the whole state of the superhero movie business as we know it. Um, Obviously, it's in the shitter. Obviously, Marvel is in the shitter right now. They've got a very damaged brand thanks to just all the BS that they've put the people through over the past 5 or 6 years. DC. I've never really been a huge DC guy, me personally. I've never really cared for Superman. I've never really cared for like Aquaman or Green Lantern or a lot of these DC superheroes. I like Batman. I think probably most people like Batman or have liked Batman at one point or another. I'll still go see a Batman movie from time to time, as long as it's not as goddamn boring as the Batman, the last one that just came out a couple years ago, 2 3 years ago. That movie bored me half to sleep, man. It was almost like sitting there watching a fucking mini series. I wasn't sure when the shit was gonna be over, and I took at least a nap or two up in that fucking theater, man, just waiting for the motherfucker to come to its end. But at one point I used to very much enjoy superhero movies, man. Spider Man's my guy. I'm a Spider Man guy, but I've been able to enjoy the X Men. I've been able to enjoy a lot of the movies that have come out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, and I mean, I've had a good time, man. It was a good ride. They had a good run. Superhero movies had a good run for about a couple of decades or so there. Um, with the conclusion of the Infinity Saga that came back in 2019 with Endgame, I think that was kind of the peak of the superhero genre as a whole, if we're being real. Whether you grew up with the X-Men or the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies or Blade or fucking the original garbage Fantastic Four that came out back in the day, whatever it is, man, I think a lot of us who grew up during that time, we can all kind of agree that the peak of the entire thing was probably about that late 2010s era, 2018, 2019, when you get into Infinity War and Endgame. Um, and even before that, man, I would say from like 2016 to probably 2019 is probably the peak of the whole thing. Like even with Captain America Civil War, with Batman v Superman, and you still, man, you would not believe. I actually went to go see Batman v Superman over Civil War at the time. I mean, I don't regret it. I don't regret it. Batman v Superman was boring as fuck. I ended up seeing Captain America Civil War later, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm sure I wasn't the only person who chose to see that. I mean, it's Batman versus Superman. You would think that you're gonna see one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, right? And it just wasn't. It just wasn't. I mean, DC. You can say DC probably peaked with the Dark Knight trilogy, if we're being real. With the Dark Knight, with the Dark Knight Rises. Well, I mean, Batman Begins as well, but not as many people really talk or care about that, quite frankly. But I would say that was probably the best of DC, man. That was the best of DC. That was when DC actually still had a fucking leg up on Marvel. Marvel, all they've wanted to do the past 5 or 6 years is just stomp on their own nutsack, get in their own way, trip over their own feet. I mean, that's all they seem to be doing at the box office these days. Fantastic Four, fantastic flop. You might as well call it fantastic fucking flop. That's what it turned out to be. Marvel's 3 for 3 this year as far as box office bombs. I actually did go see Thunderbolts. I saw it at the drive-in. Saw it with fucking Lilo and Stitch. Um, Paid attention to maybe half the movie. From what I saw, it wasn't too bad. It also appeared to be pretty boring. I probably entertained myself while watching that damn thing as much as the movie did. But Thunderbolts was okay. Me personally, I could see after Endgame that this was gonna happen. I didn't think the fall off was gonna be as catastrophic, as fucking fast, as fucking hard. I mean, they've only accelerated it. Thanks to all their pandering to the SJWs and shit like that. There's a way to have balance. There's a way to do it. There's no necessarily right or wrong way to do it, but there's a way to have balance. You can't please everyone, but if you were only just worried about, your own artistic expression, if you were only just worried about putting together the film that you think is the best, then quite frankly, it wouldn't matter what Hollywood thinks or what anyone else thinks. You're just making a movie. I'm making the movie. You're not making the movie for me. But that's not how these studios. It's not how these big fucking movie studios operate, man. You get too many cooks in the kitchen. You got fucking 6 or 7 different pieces of different movies combined into one because you have this fucking hodgepodge of all these different ideas. It ends up just being a whole bunch of garbage, as we've seen over the past few entries. And you know what? I feel like Marvel and DC have no one but to blame but themselves. I've heard James Gunn recently say, "Oh, there's not a such thing as superhero fatigue. There's bad movie fatigue." This is an example of a guy who probably thinks he has his finger on the pulse and is trying to appear more intelligent and in touch than he actually is. I'm not saying James Gunn is an idiot. I'm sure he's a very perfectly intelligent guy. You know what I'm saying? But dude, of course there is a such thing as superhero fatigue, bro. There's a such thing as superhero fatigue the way there was of fucking old westerns back when they had their heyday and people thought to themselves, you know what? I'm kind of over this, right? At some point, uh, things are gonna start trending down, bro. You can't peak forever. You can't stay hot forever, man. Superhero movies are not. They're no longer this guaranteed fucking entry that's gonna generate you 800 million or $1 billion. This is not in the cards anymore, man. This is not gonna fucking happen. We've moved on. Not only have we moved on, but the coming generation of younger people don't give a flying fuck about superhero movies, man. They don't care. Nobody cares anymore. Not at least, of the younger generation. None of these people, I feel like, have the same connection to superheroes that we did growing up because it's just a different time now. It's just a different time. It's not the late 90s, early 2000s anymore. The generation of people who grew up reading comics is, continuously just aging out more and more. Of course, there's still going to be those man children who go to see every single Marvel movie and DC movie that they pump out, but the vast majority of us normal people have just fucking moved on, dude. We fucking moved on. All right. It's not even that I'm burnt out on superhero movies. It's just I have no interest, man. I have no interest. I'm not upset about anything. I'm not mad about anything. I'm not gonna sit here and whine and complain and fucking cry and say, "Oh, they treated the fans badly, this and that. They did this to me. They cut my nuts off. They spat in my drink. They did all this horrible shit to me, and that's why I'm not watching." No, I'm not watching anymore because that's my choice. That's my choice. This was gonna happen inevitably anyway. Anyway, you understand me? This was bound to happen. Endgame was the peak of it. You can only peak one time. I've had friends even try to convince me, "Nah, dude, you gotta follow along. It's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be better. They're gonna involve Galactus. It's gonna be all this shit, right?" And now look how none of the connecting tissue that existed previously is there anymore. None of these movies connect or make sense. Marvel has failed in making new stars out of the heroes that they have in this new lineup. Um, that they presented to us. Thor, he was my personal favorite of the previous MCU, and now it's like I don't really care for Thor. I went to go see Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't really care for the guy anymore. I personally don't want to see Thor anymore. At this point, the movie was so bad, I don't want to see the character anymore, man. I feel the same way about Black Panther. Um, there's, ever since Chadwick Boseman passed away, it's like you might as well do away with the whole franchise, man. There is no franchise without the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we even talking about? They have his little sister now. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. It's completely uh, impossible, if we're being real, to take serious. Um, and I'm not even really this huge like Iron Man. Like I see people, they like to just ride the dick of people like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. I mean, hey man, I liked Iron Man. I like Captain America, but I'm not gonna sit here and cry just because the character of Iron Man died in a movie. You know, I mean, yeah, it was a moment, but I'm not gonna sit here and fucking weep about it in public, especially at that. You know what I mean? People take it too far. They take it too fucking far. Superman, this new Superman movie that came out. I personally never really given a fuck about Superman. Pretty boring hero, if you ask me. There's just nothing there. What interest do I have in watching a guy who knows or who can do anything? Um, Even if he loses a fight, it's not believable because it's fucking Superman, right? It's fucking Superman. Um, and from what I hear in his latest entry, all he did was get his ass kicked the entire time. So you definitely make me not want to see it then. The new Fantastic Four movie, I know a lot of people are kind of burnt out on Pedro Pascal, or Pascal, if I'm saying it correctly, who really cares? No, I don't have anything against Pedro. I get the hate, but um, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is Pedro Pascal? He's not Denzel Washington. He's not Michael B. Jordan. He's not Arnold. You know, he's not Tom Cruise. Who the fuck is Pedro Pascal? This guy comes out of complete thin air. Um, Within 3 years, he's been in like 50 projects. I mean, and that's the thing too. I don't My issue's not with the guy's work ethic. I mean, I know he's done like multiple projects on top of projects within the same year. It's not easy to do. So, I mean, at least he's busting his ass. It took 20 years for him to get where he is. So, yeah, he's trying to make up for lost time. At least he's working his ass off for it. Um, so for that, I have to give him credit. But otherwise, when I look at him, I don't see Reed Richards. I didn't watch the movie. I didn't see the performance. I know people are going to say, oh, how are you going to critique something you didn't even watch? Because I can. All right. Because I can. All right. Um, and quite frankly, I don't really see a lot of buzz or interest around either of these supposed blockbuster superhero movies. I see commercials on TV. Fantastic Four is the #1 movie in the world for the second straight week. Is it? Is it really? I hear a little thing called Jurassic World that outsold fucking Fantastic Four and Superman like combined or whatever, man. I mean, I could be a little off on the numbers there, but forgive me if I'm misinforming, but one thing I'm not lying about is that nobody really gave a shit when Fantastic Four came out. Nobody gave a shit just as equally when Superman came out. This is just where we're at now. I think they have a Supergirl movie coming out next year. So you mean to tell me, motherfucker, you mean to tell me you're in the process now of starting this whole new universe as it stands for DC, and your second entry is going to be Supergirl? It's going to be Supergirl? Nobody even cares for Superman. Um, Nobody's going to go see Supergirl, man. That's going to be a fucking franchise killer before this thing even gets the chance to get off the ground. It's probably not going to get off the ground because Superman was pretty underwhelming. Fantastic Four was pretty underwhelming. Um, Doomsday comes out next year. It feels like they've kind of rushed this, if you ask me. It feels like not really set up. Well, I guess they kind of planted the seeds, so to speak, in the recent Fantastic Four movie. Um, Excuse me there. Um, but it's all nostalgia bait. It's all nostalgia bait. The cast is so bloated for this new Avengers movie. The budget, half that bitch has to be going to the salary of all the crew members and the cast involved because it's ridiculous. You're bringing back the old X-Men. You're bringing back pretty much any ex-Avenger that'll sign back on for a payday. I mean, I don't blame them. I'd sign back on as well. You know, feed my family, feed my kids, feed my family for fucking generations there off of these Marvel paychecks that they just hand out, despite the fact that this studio's losing money hand over fist. They've the depths that they've sunk to have probably far outreached and outgrown the heights that they soared to, because they've just lost so much money. And as you know, the eye can see, they're gonna continue to lose so much money. This is not gonna work out, man. Spider-Man is always gonna be a draw. Um, Fucking Batman is always going to be a draw, even though, like I said, the last one was boring as a motherfucker. But these superheroes will always draw because you know, everyone loves Batman. People will go see a Batman movie. People will go see a Spider-Man movie, whether it's tied with the MCU brand or not. And at this point, it's better off not being associated with the MCU. Um, and that's just kind of where we're at now, man. That's just kind of where we're at. Superhero movies, the aura, so to speak, has come and gone. We've been there, done that. We've seen it all. Marvel, they've taken a stick to our asses too many times. DC has shat the bed one too many times. And as far as I'm concerned, both these studios combined can take all their profits and all their losses and shove them up their own ass, man. And you know, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you with that, and I'm gonna piece the fuck up out of here and catch you in the next one.